Hey guys, welcome to another session of Epic 7. This is my initial thoughts video for Belian. I am making this video recording quite early in my usual sort of schedule. I am not waiting for the data mine because I don't believe the data mine based on the HP scaling, attack scaling will influence my thoughts on her. I think that even taking her out as a potential damage threat, she has enough in her kit to make her annoying, and of course I'll be talking about that to further extent. The damage mods will influence the way that you may want to build her, considering lifesteal set as an option. I'll talk about that in a bit. But outside of that, we're not too surprised that Belian is released, as she was the boss, the end boss for episode 3. And it was a difficult fight. She had bomb mechanics in it, so a lot of people were speculating that she would have bomb mechanics since Summertime Assyria and ML Leo being buffed. It seemed that bombs may be a new thing, but they totally skipped it. They avoided it this time. I'm okay with that because I'm still not like super sold on bombs, but I think we need more bomb heroes for that debuff itself to become I think a real big threat. I mean, it's still effective right now. I've used Summertime, I've seen people use Summertime Assyria on me as well to successful degrees, so it's not like it doesn't work, but they chose to avoid it. With Artemis Shadow and Strays being released, originally they weren't really characters that Smogget had planned to be playable heroes. It seems to be the case, of course, that Floodgate is now open, so Belian, of course, everybody wanted kind of like the ML Lilius, but as we saw those preview ML Kairon, ML Lilius, they were in kind of like draft phase. Belian was completed animation, everything, like the voiceover, so it's not too surprising that she is released now. Here's some of the draft versions which we never actually saw, at least not to my memory. Never seen these before. Compared to, let's say, like the ML Lilia stuff, it looks less polished, so they may have just thrown it together for the showcase, which I'm okay with, because I like seeing kind of like their concept art and the kind of the progress to seeing what we finally get, you know, the full colored polished version compared to like that. I like the comparison. So she's a knight, so golden boys girl continues. Ares Knight, so we're familiar with that. Ares Knights being like Ambitious Tywin not, well, Blue Tywin, Fire Cecilia, etc. So the speed's pretty fast, 110 speed. The health is pretty good, 6,751. The attack is pretty low at 821. So if they give her HP scaling but higher attack scaling ratio, she's gonna do a little bit less damage in terms of the overall value. But the HP is high enough, and she is a HP scaling bruiser. So with that base HP at 6.751, I think it's very good. 6.7k. The defense at 648 is not the highest of the knights, but it's still very good. Comparing to a couple of the high defense mages. The effectiveness at 18%, which is just kind of nice to have, because she is a debuffer after all. So having that innate there is very good, very helpful for her kit. The imprint concentration is at 18%, and she is not ML Politis. She is imprintable with her own special thing. I think it's called Key of Intelligence. I have it on the last slide here. I think it's like Key of Intellect. There you go. Key of Intellect. So yeah, so it would be like Strays or whatever. So 10 gold transmit stone per imprint, which is good in terms of everybody can triple S her without having, like, really bad RNG. So in that sense, she's that kind of hero. That's fine with me. No complaints there. The imprint release is actually interesting as well. AoE effect resistance with a 14.4%. Because she's a 5-star base. That will be pretty useful, especially now that with Light Angelica out. That would be pretty useful. I think that Belian, even without getting into the kit too much, right now I'm going to say that she is a must pull. And not that I want to say it, because she doesn't really excite me. again, it continues. So I took the screenshot on purpose because the skill introduction and the information displayed in this video is subject to change. I really do hope they reconsider. There's only one thing I feel that is a bit too broken, and it's definitely the S2. So decrease the number of souls gained by the enemy by 100%. This means that it should mean that the enemies will not be able to gain souls at all, right? So this is apparently from official sources, apparently Toggle's Ancient Book. So if you bring Toggle's Ancient Book heroes into her, you will have no souls. It's not even halved. It's like Book is no longer usable versus her. So she'll be so she could be played in many different ways. She can be played as anti-cleave. Most cleave heroes or cleave setups require some sort of Book in order to gain an advantage upon the opponent. We are seeing obviously cleave in general and all types of cleave that we're talking about, okay? Different types of initiators, different types of ways to get the cleave going. It's not really looking good. I personally feel that this skill, that just the decreasing, it's not even about anti-cleaving. I know a lot of players are going to be really excited that, oh yeah, she'll be the nail in the coffin for cleave or whatever. I get it. I'm okay with that kind of change. I mean, we've seen this back and forth. Like sometimes, like before, we had like really bad days where cleave was just not viable. Then cleave kind of came back, not like fully, but it was like usable for some players who had the gear. And then now it's all of a sudden totally gone again. So in terms of just the S2 passive itself, suppressing the souls, it just means that whoever drafts her or uses her in RTA will have a huge advantage. They will be able to generate souls, and with Belian's kit, she will actually help the team generate souls at a pretty rapid rate. But the opponents would never be able to gain souls. So if they wanted to go with, like, let's say a Spec Tenny, kind of like a Spec Tenny with a Knight, with so a DPS Knight and a Soul Weaver, they won't be able to generate souls as long as Belian is on the field. So like one of the things is that you want to kill Belian ASAP, but the issue is that she's a Knight with what I already showed, pretty high base HP, pretty high base defense, and S3, which we'll talk about, has a defense buff. So there's a lot of stuff like going into this that just makes like a whole mechanic completely useless. So to me, like, Assassin Sid, Ambitious Tywin, other heroes of the like will be able to take souls at a specific number. Their Sid can reduce 20 souls, so he can basically remove one book holder, but he has a cooldown for that. The opponents are still able to generate souls, but souls are a mechanic that's not like specifically hero based. I mean, you're gaining that thing as a collective. It's outside of the realm of the heroes itself. You know what I mean? So like Politis, when she was released, I was saying that she's a must-pull hero, very much a limited kit, like a limited hero kit. She would have been released as a limited hero. She would have just been, acceptable as a limited hero, just because of that S2, the Astral Guide. But you can work around it. You can force yourself not to choose non-attack skill heroes and the likes. But for Belian's case, you have no choice in the matter. So again, back on their initial slide, this video is subject to change. I would hope to see they change this. Either they decrease the souls gained by 50%, or have a conditional that it would strip all souls if certain things happen. So for example, if they really wanted to cripple like all souls, they could have done it where, like, if someone beats her in speed, or someone does an AoE, or someone does a crit to opponent, or something like that, like another condition in order to reduce the souls. I just feel like this is like a bit overboard. So no matter what, I mean, you want to pull Belian no matter what, because she is good on your arena defense team, so prevent any cleave whatsoever. Prevent any cleave whatsoever, or prevent at least souls. So souls are pretty important in general, right? You can soul burn. I mean, if you're a Dark Corvus player, you can soul burn Dark Corvus to get the guaranteed kill. Soul burns are just important. So with her on the field, unless they kill her first, like I said, you're just gonna have a tough time with that. It's just gonna be very, very stally. Guild War defense, very, very good as well, I believe. Just to be able to, prevent them from gaining souls until she's dead. So you could formulate team comps around it where that she won't be easily targeted, either other heroes on Elber's Ritual Sword, herself on counter, or something of the like. Some way to force them not to be able to kill her in order to generate souls. So it's like a double combination of thinking about her AI defense comp. Is like, you want to make sure that they can't kill you without souls, and there's also no way for you to kill Belian. Those would be like the two conditions if you think about a Belian defense team. So again, she will just be annoying to deal with, right? And okay, so anyways, and that's not even, this is not even it's not even a Mola thing, right? It's 100%. You won't be able to gain souls. So I think she's just pretty like a power creep to the next level. Archdemon's Shadow, when I reviewed her, the seal I felt that was pretty good. It would cover a large range of passes. It had RNG with it, so it wasn't broken, right? From the get-go, a lot of people were actually very, very skeptical on Archdemon's Shadow. But when she works, she can work, right? But there is that give and take. This one, just like, you have no option. You're just forced into it. It reminds me of some of the kind of, I won't be talking about politics here, but a lot of the political stuff happening around the world right now. You don't have a choice. So anyways, if you +7 this enhance, you have 100% chance to gain a random buff. I believe it's 100, right? So it's 10, 20. Yeah. So 100% chance to gain the random buff. Now, good thing though is that the random buff isn't super crazy. It's not super crazy. It's all good for her. It's all good for her. Don't get me wrong. It's all good for her. It's not super crazy. You got continuous healing, which will heal her quite a bit since you have high base HP hero. You'll build her high HP for the damage if you're going to go for damage. Effectiveness is good because of the debuffs that she'll apply. And then critical hit chance is pretty good too, as well, in case that you need to put her on a lifesteal or counter set or anything of the like that you may be running at an 85 crit rate, because she does AoE anyway. So like, the high chances of you hitting them is pretty high, so that critical hit buff might be good. Although out of the two, I would say the critical hit chance buff is probably less nice in case the player builds her with high crit rate. So you basically diminish value. Apocalypse, so it's the skill 3, attacks all enemies with power of duties, decreasing combat readiness by a random amount between 20 to 40%, and then provokes for 1 turn. So very, very oppressive hero, as you can see. And then increase the defense of the caster for 2 turns. This is a 5-turn cooldown with a skill enhance up to 4 turns, so pretty standard S3. Damage dealt proportional to the caster's max health. Again, like I said, I think the only thing that would change for me with the damage mods is that if the damage mods are pretty good, it might be viable to build her at like a 200 crit damage, decent crit rate Night Bruiser, while focusing some of the substats into the effectiveness, and she has already 18% base, and then she can gain an effectiveness buff. So having like a splash of effectiveness, maybe aim for like a 50, 60, or even if you're going really crazy, aim for 100, and she has that defense buff. So the defense buff, unless you're stripped, it's gonna just be pretty cancerous. Yeah, and then the random pushback of 20 to 40, just absolute chaos, and plus provokes. If she's on a counter, the provoke could be good as well. Although the S1 partial part of the skill, the incursion, the special attack, or what I'll call the extra attack, it won't happen unless it's on her own turn. So in terms of the counter, if you have her on counter, it will have a D-spell buff chance. So Light of Destruction is the S1. It's all AoE, so you might be thinking, you know, people who charge up on AoE like Last Rite of Crow and stuff like that will be very good against her, but again, she dispels, so unless your full team has very high resist, she might just be able to dispel that immunity that you have on your Last Rite of Crow. So attacks all enemies with a ray with a 50% chance to dispel one buff. If you mola it, it's plus 15 more, so only 65% chance, but it's AoE. So having it at 65% chance is pretty good. When used on the caster's turn, has a 35% chance to activate Incursion as an extra attack. So, you know, people are thinking maybe Rowana, maybe countering her, perhaps. But remember, it only happens on her turn, and it's only 35% chance. They can choose to soul burn it to activate to 100% chance. Oh, man, I don't know, man. I just feel like this is pretty broken. So, if you do it 100% chance, you'll attack, most likely dispel the immunity, and then you'll have Incursion attacks all enemies, also AoE, decreasing the speed and hit chance for 1 turn, damage dealt proportional to caster's max health. The extra attack does HP damage. The original attack, Light of Destruction, does HP damage. Again, we'll see what the mods are. I won't even, like I said, I don't believe that the mods will make you not want to pull her if it's low damage. You just basically don't build her for damage. That's it. If it's high damage, Lifesteal might be a viable choice because you do have Elber's Ritual Sword. So Elber's Ritual Sword into an AoE that's near Rem level, and in fact it is kind of like Rem in a way that you'll dispel, whereas Rem reduces the buff duration. You won't apply any debuffs because you won't get the extra attack. Remember that it is only on the caster's turn. So even if you are on Lifesteal, Elbrus, it's just for herself, but you will definitely have to run a speed boot, I believe. Again, then pair that with the S3, her combination is just pretty disgusting. So even if you have her on speed set with Elbrus, have her on counter with Elbrus, have her on Lifesteal with Elbrus, what have you. Hey, maybe even revenge set, man. Like maybe revenge set, who cares? Injury set, whatever. I think it doesn't matter what kind of set she's on at the moment. If you give her one of those sets, she's gonna bring some kind of viability to the team. I mean I was just thinking about this. Injury set on her might actually be legit too. Just because she has access to Elbrus, and then she can dispel if Elbrus procs, and then do S3. Then to provoke pushback, and then on her turn again you can do the extra attack or whatever you mix and match. You don't even have to do it in that like order, but it just feels like it's a lot. But like I said, even though I do not like the S2 passive, I believe that is the only thing that bothers me. The decreasing soul, the way it decreases souls is just like as soon as she's on the field. That's what I don't like about it. Maybe I'm overreacting. Let me know in the comments down below, like what you think about that specifically, or obviously what you think about her fully. I think that she's a must-have hero. Basically, she's a must-have hero for any defensive play. She'll be usable. I think Arena, because you have a 4-man defense, she'll definitely be in your defense team to prevent cleave. In a guild war, because it's 3-man compression, it might be harder to make her work on the defense, although still not out of the question. I can still see her working on a defense team. It's just that unless you have like a really smart comp that you're able to have damage and have those criteria I said before, that they can't just, you know, sit back, charge up souls, or kill her off first and then charge up souls, then the defense team won't work as well. But if you can figure those things out on a guild war defense, very, very good. And then in World Arena, super oppressive. Is she gonna be the pre-ban for a lot of players? I believe possibly. Like I said, souls in general are too good for it just not to work at all. Carrot needs souls. Rem after demon mode will want souls. Spectenny ideally wants souls. You know, Fire Charlotte, to if you're, you know, focusing on the S3, you'll want souls. Almost every single hero benefits from souls. So for her having like her released on the map, and you know you have no souls, no capability to gain souls, I think it's overtuned. I like seeing OP heroes sometimes, but not when it's like at a what I would call a cheap expense, right? It's almost as OP as saying that, okay, when hero is on the field, everyone dies instantly. Not to that extent. I'm exaggerating for effect, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean? You know, it's like as soon as someone is like, oh, it's kind of like Angie in a way already, the Langelica or Light Angie, kind of like that. But even Light Angelica, to me, like you all have different ways to work around it. This one is just like, okay, you have to work around it, but without souls in mind. So different ways to work around a hero. Not saying that it's impossible to beat her or impossible to beat people with her. It's just that you start thinking about how many people, or now how many heroes really want some souls, and you can't have it if she's on the field. Anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Again, like I said, it is imprinted with her own, not with Politis, imprinted with her own special item. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What you think about her. And that's it. I'll end this for the video recording. If you guys have Discord, check out the Discord server, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to YouTube if you haven't. As always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.